an album comes out called Home, which you probably don't even know what I'm going to talk about, by a band called Deep Blue Something,
Oh yeah.
and they released a song called Breakfast at Tiffany's off this album.
Yep.
There isn't
Yep.
anybody who hasn't heard that song. As a matter of fact, and I'll tell the story right now. Real quick. 1995, I'll start working at Stakeout, and there's a guy. In my tenure at Stakeout, we always had the radio in the back playing while we were like scrubbing potatoes and stuff as drivers. And so we have this, and there's going to eventually be a guy who's back there, and him and I become pretty good friends. He's goofy and funny. He's always got a smile on his face. And so TJ and I are back there scrubbing potatoes, and I'm singing the song. I'm singing this song, Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something. And he's like, you know a lot of songs, man, and you sing a lot of songs back here, and it's always the crappiest song that comes on the radio. Is there any reason you do that? I said, well, they play a lot of crappy songs. I just happen to know them all. And so since I'm back here scrubbing potatoes, I might as well sing along. And that was pretty much the way that went.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Tony.
And this is Back for Our Future, the podcast that goes back to look at our past and yours, probably, most likely, somewhat, and how we're going to parallel to the future. With me, Tony. Welcome back to the show. Always a pleasure to have you as the number one guest. You're the number one guest on this podcast. That's
awesome, man. That's why my name's half of it. It's awesome. I love being part of
it. So as you guys have probably heard, and you probably noticed, there's like 200 versions of the Diane Keaton episode, along with a couple of versions of our mega tribute last week. Let me explain what's happening. So Tony blows me up with text messages like the episode's down again, and I've gotten multiple of these from him. So our podcast host, if you will, is Spotify. For some reason, Spotify is very angry at the music that we pay for. Now, we pay a license to use this music. They're mad at it. They're fighting. And the air quoting for Tony, the algorithm,
right.
That was my best Dr. Evil. The algorithm keeps flagging us as being not appropriate, not appropriate, but the rights aren't there, even though we have them. So hopefully that gets fixed. So in the meantime, that's why the show goes straight into dialogue. That's what you get now, right? It's just faster to the movies.
I mean, it saves you like that 15 seconds where you're like, why is this song going? No one's ever heard of it. It's not that big a deal. I will say this, though, and I was just saying it before we got on the air. What the hell is the algorithm?
Nobody knows, man. It's you know who knows?
What is it?
You know who knows? Ethan Hunt knows in Mission Impossible.
Right.
That's the only guy.
Brawndo. It's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes. But what are electrolytes? What do they do? Do you even know? That's what the algorithm is. Nobody knows
what
exactly. I mean, I hear people talk about it all the time because, like, my brother's on YouTube and stuff like that. I mean, there's other people doing other stuff, right? And so we talk about these things, and all the time I hear algorithm every single time. They never mention exactly how any of it works because nobody really understands it. Listen, if we all understood how it worked, and let's be honest about this, if we all understood how it worked, we'd all have like 2 million followers.
That's right. That's accurate. That's fair.
If we understood how to crack this thing, we'd all have like 2 million, 3 million followers. We'd all be getting paid bank, and we'd be doing podcasts for big money. And that's the reality of it. Nobody knows what it is, so all of us get like 12 people, and that's what it is. And we do a little better than that. But I'm saying, you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, it is a very bizarre thing, and it's been part of. Tony's on the film side. I'm on the advertising side now. And it's been part of we're always trying to figure it out. One of the listeners of the show, it's hilarious because he gets as frustrated as you do. His name is Dale. Dale put out a video not too long ago of just a guy. Dale's 6'7" or something. He's a basketball guy. He puts out a dude that's Jody's my height. And so Jody's like 5'10" or something. And he puts out Jody standing beside Dale's bike. And Dale's bike is much higher. It's not a great video. It's dumber than crap. We both think it's stupid. It went viral and it got over 100,000 views. Meanwhile, we have these incredibly hilarious videos that come out and they'll get like 10 views. Like we don't know. We've tried. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. So yeah, from this point forward until they give us clearance, no music to start the show. We're going to talk about music in this episode because we're back, baby. We're back,
We're back, baby.
and we've got a couple of humongously awesome movies. This is oddly this October era right here drops some just massive heavy hitters in terms of our culture when we were growing up.
I agree.
So let's jump into it. Let's jump into October 7th. Two just wallops. Two wallops of movies. We started with Only You and The Specialist. Let's go with it.
Only You. This was a movie starring Robert Downey Jr. pre-rehab. This is pre-rehab Robert Downey Jr. Okay,
Prehab.
so he's kind of crazy and quirky, and he's that guy, right? Marissa Tomei, who's hotter than sin, coming off of My Cousin Vinny, and she's doing this movie Only You, directed by Norman Jewison. Very good film. Fun romantic comedy. Nothing here that you haven't probably seen before, but two great leads. And I remember seeing this movie at Village 6. Yeah,
It was a smaller release too, right? It's not like it had a wide release, but I mean it wasn't a big like blow up kind of thing.
but it wasn't like a super Yeah, it was. It's not. It's not Jurassic Park, or anything like that. Right? It's a little smaller than that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it did okay at the box office. Did 22 million, somewhere in that range, which is pretty good for romantic, smaller romantic comedy at the time, and made its money because as we all know, at the time we have secondary markets that do really well in this era. So yeah, but yeah, it's a good movie. Got a couple things going for it. Okay, number one, obviously we already said pre-rehab Robert Downey Jr. There's something different about now. I like Robert Downey Jr. now, but pre-rehab Robert Downey Jr. is different than Robert Downey Jr. now. So you got this is pre-rehab Robert Downey Jr. And you also get the fact that this movie is going to get mentioned on Seinfeld.
It sure is. It sure.
And because George loves Marissa Tomei, because who doesn't? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't quite turned 18 yet. I got like another week before I turn 18, but I liked Marissa Tomei. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I also it's one of those things where it's when I say it's not that it's forgettable in a bad way. It's forgettable because it's kind of cliche, but again, when you go back and watch it, the fun of watching it is again prehab Robert Downey Jr., but you also you just kind of see these actors in an early part of their time. And what's interesting about both of them have this beautiful story of like, they built up, they had these big careers. Marissa Tomei, a little bit longer lasting. Obviously, RDJ's back and he's blown up. But prior to Iron Man, you have this like curve, but this is the beginning of it. And you can go watch them now and you can see their energy now and it's still fun. And it is kind of fun in a couple of bits. If anybody's a Marvel fan, that they share a little bit of screen time down the road. It's a nice little turnaround in the, I believe it's one of the Spider-Man movies, the Marvel Spider-Man movies.
And great cast. I mean, there's a great supporting cast here too, because you got like Bonnie Hunt, and you got Billy Zane, and Fisher Stevens, and Joaquin Dalmeida, and so it's a pretty good group of people that were kind of big at the time as well. And so it's a good cast, and it's a fun movie, and it's a romantic comedy, and it's in the theaters at the time, which we don't get a lot of those these days. So it's a different era.
So the question that we have that's a burning question for this audience, if you've listened to one of the 26 Diane Keaton episodes we put out, did you take a date to this?
No, I didn't take a date to this.
Okay, just check.
Yeah.
All right, so then we go into The Specialist. And did we see this together? I feel like we would have seen this together.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
That's Carmike 10, little theater. Maybe you heard of it. Carmike 10. We've mentioned it 600,000 times.
We're zingy today, buddy. We're zingy. Yeah, The Specialist. Yeah, there's a formula. If you guys haven't picked up on it, me and Tony have a little bit of a formula that occurs. And if it has one of those guys, one of our guys in it, and this has one of our guys in it, if it has one of our guys, we're going to that movie and we've hyped ourselves up to go see this movie. Whether it's brilliant or not doesn't even matter. We're going to see this movie.
Right. I mean, the last movie we saw together was Sylvester Stallone movie. We saw
Mm-hmm.
Bullet to the Head together. I mean, so it's like, you know, we saw a lot of Sylvester Stallone movies together. You know, I mean, this is one of our guys, no doubt about it. And this is a tremendous cast because it's got him, and it's got Sharon Stone, who's hotter than sin back in 1984, and another actor who I absolutely adored and loved. We don't get to see him these days because he's super political these days, and I think it turns some people off, unfortunately. But he's great. James Woods, who I absolutely love, and Rod Steiger and Eric Roberts. The cast is really great, and James Woods is a foil. He's the heavy here, and the big villain here. It's a pretty fun movie. Did really, really, really well because it did like over 170 million on a 45 million dollar budget. So it was a big hit for Sly Stallone, and yet I still feel like this movie is underrated in his catalog.
100%. And it's definitely one of those ones that probably, had it not been something that we, as young men would have seen together, if somebody's listening to the show and they like action movies and thriller type stuff, this is one of those movies that you probably, if you haven't ever heard of it, then obviously you haven't seen it. But at the same time, it's one of those ones that I wouldn't overlook because it's actually it's a little bit of a sleeper. And there's some really, this era in James Woods, you get like that sarcastic, really a-hole James Woods who everybody loves. You love a good bad guy, and he's just primo.
Yeah, no, he's really good in this. He's gonna be. This is that era, right? He's gonna have come off of like things like The Hard Way and stuff like that, where he's a good guy there. But he's about to be in Casino, which he's a complete jackass in that too.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
it's he's yeah. James Woods is always classic.
Absolute. So that rolls us in now. That rolls us into the 14th. So 1 week later and maybe I'm mistaken. Is Exit to Eden referenced in Seinfeld or something else? Is it tied into another show somewhere?
No, not
Okay,
really.
it's just the lore behind that movie. Isn't there a lore behind it? For some reason, it stands out in my brain as having some kind of like
It's
element.
very
Anyway,
it's very weird. So it's an Anne Rice novel.
that's what it probably is. Okay.
The Anne Rice novel that's directed by Gary Marshall.
My God,
Right?
I didn't know that.
All right. And I mean I got a lot to say about this movie. So you didn't think we were gonna have this much to say about this movie, trust me. There's a lot coming up here. So directed by Gary Marshall. And I'm not real sure what Gary's doing here.
Right.
But here listen, this movie comes out and I don't know if you prefaced the date, but it comes out October 14th, which is like the day after my birthday. And I'm gonna turn 18. I turn 18 years old on this birthday. And happy birthday to me because I'm gonna get to see full frontal nudity of Dana Delaney, who other than like Nancy Travis and maybe like Marissa Tomei, she's like it for me in 1994. Like Dana Delaney, I'm pretty big into Dana Delaney at this point. So huge fan of Dana Delaney, but Gary Marshall's trying to cast a comedy, right? But it's supposed to be a sexy comedy. So who can you possibly cast along with Dana Delaney to give you that nice balance, right? He casts frickin' Rosie O'Donnell.
What it is, I remember now.
Now he also cast Dan Aykroyd, who I love, who we all
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
but he cast Rosie O'Donnell, and she's gonna end up in black lacy garbage, and she's gonna end up in dominatrix outfits. And meanwhile, you're getting full frontal from Dana Delaney. You're also getting Dana Delaney, in dominatrix outfits, and she looks marvelous, set against the backdrop of Rosie O'Donnell, who has the sexuality of a busted rock. Okay, no question, no
was not
question
ready for
about
that. I was not ready
it.
for that.
And it's not a bad movie. It didn't do well because who wants to watch Rosie O'Donnell in this role? Nothing against Rosie O'Donnell. Like, I've liked her in other stuff, but this is the second time in this year, 1994, that she's been miscast completely because we liked the Flintstones movie, but she should not be Betty Rubble. We know that. Like, we know that Rosie O'Donnell is not a sexy person. She's funny. She's not sexy. It's just the way it is. And these characters are supposed to be sexy, and they're not. And she's not great. Dane Delaney was amazing though in this movie. This movie is worth watching just for her.
Well, there you go. Big endorsement. Big
I
endorsement.
I did not go to the theaters with anybody to watch this. I went by myself, like every good perverted 18-year-old should. Okay? And that is exactly what I did. I have watched this movie quite a few times in my life, never with anybody else, always by myself. Take what you want from it. I really don't care. But Dana Delaney, to this day, she's almost 70 years old. Still great. Still love Dana Delaney. Not so big on Rosie O'Donnell these days, but I like Dana Delaney. It's the way.
Lord.
Still like Dan Aykroyd, though. He's cool.
Yeah, I love that guy. Okay.
Gary,
Well,
Gary Marshall, what were you doing?
he doesn't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, for those who don't know his name directly, can you just name just two other Gary Marshall movies?
Yeah, I'll give you two massive ones where we also got to meet, sexy, fun women. A little movie called Pretty Woman, The Runaway Bride. I mean, Julia Roberts, like he opened up Julia Roberts' career.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
mean, dude, the guy's a legendary director, and it's that's great. But yeah, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, it didn't do, and the movie didn't do well, like I said. But it is what it is. You know, like I said, nothing against Rosie because I always thought she was funny. You know,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't
She's very funny.
watch her here. You'll
No, no,
know
I'm with you.
if you ever seen the movie, you'll know. I mean, anyone who's seen this movie knows. It was a big deal back in the day. Like, I don't think anyone wanted her cast in this movie.
I knew there was something about it that was controversial. Now I remember. I remember because my teenage me was like, I'm not going to that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's
the good news is this movie is pretty much the exit of Rosie O'Donnell's mainstream movie starring career. She's her lead career is pretty much dead after this movie because it didn't do well, and so we also don't get as much Dana Delaney in film after this either. Unfortunately, she goes back mostly to TV. So
makes
what did it
sense.
tried? We tried Dana.
So that brings up the next movie. This is a interesting for an October. Like I said in the beginning of the show, this is a very packed. I feel like it's a very packed October. You don't see Octobers like this as much anymore. The release that comes out is Little Giants, which is also one of the movies I confused earlier in this podcast. If you've been listening, I
Yeah,
mixed this up with one of the other ones.
who knows?
And you get Little Giants, which is a fantastic little baseball movie.
Yeah, I hope you're joking. You're joking.
It's a joke. Absolutely.
I don't know. I can't tell anymore.
Well, I
And
was stone facing you out. I was stone facing you out.
little didn't you mix it up? I think you mixed it up with Little Big League or something like that.
I did. It was Little Big League for sure.
Yeah, it's listen, man. I mean, it's Rick Moranis, it's Ed O'Neill. Okay, I mean, if I'm a director, I'm thinking, neither one of those guys are super bankable, but man, I want to watch both of them in a movie. You know,
100%.
I love both of those dudes, and this was by no means a big hit. You know, I mean, it made about what its production budget was, and then of course you have secondary markets, so it gets profitability back eventually, right? So that's okay, but yeah, I mean, the movie stayed within itself, and you got all these great cameos in here. You got John Madden, and then of course you got tons of players that pop in, and Ed O'Neill's, sarcastic and great and awesome, and he always is great. And Rick Moranis is awesome, and we're not going to get much more Rick Moranis after this.
I was about to say this is close to his retirement time, right?
Yeah, pretty close. He only has like maybe one more movie left, and that's it. So but yeah, so it's
Now
kind of
is Ed O'Neill still is? And pardon my ignorance on this. We know I'm stupid, but is Married with Children still on right now, or is
yes,
it done? Okay, okay.
yeah. So I mean,
So
it's yeah. So I mean, you got Ed O'Neill, who's everybody's favorite father on television. That's a great show,
it
And
is
then
absolutely.
Little Giants was awesome. As a guy who loves football, there's so many quotable lines in this movie. So it's just, it's great, man. And yeah, I
I
highly
want
recommend.
to.
If you've not seen it for a while, check it out.
I want to say I saw this with Wade. I feel like I saw this
Yeah,
with my
you didn't see it with me. I
cousin.
know that.
Yeah, I feel like I saw it with him. I know that we screen this often inside of the Sun Coast, where I used to work with fellow listener Jamie. We'll just call him Jamie for now. I used to listen, or he listens to the show, but he and I met at the Sun Coast and became fast friends. But I know we screened it there some too. Now, then that puts out at the same time. So in this week, we have two horror movies, according to Tony. One is Exit to Eden because of Rosie O'Donnell, and then the other one is Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which
Right.
is really interesting inside of the Nightmare on Elm Street canon, because it ruffles some feathers a little bit in terms of like the horror film fans that I know. Some love it, some hate it. It's kind of one of those. It's kind of one of those. I wouldn't say controversial in any other way than like horror fans are obsessive over their franchises, but you do launch a New Nightmare, and I'm sure that's what won the week. Is that correct? I mean, that had to have swept
That
at
was
this point.
it did really well. It did about $20 million total, but yeah, it kind of won the week. And then it's different because it kind of breaks. It's not part of the same continuity of the other Nightmare films. Instead, it's about this group of people that's making a movie about Freddy, and then he kind of pops up into the set, and kind of terrorizes the people that are involved in that movie. Great cast again. You got, of course, Robert Englund coming back to do the Freddy role, and you got Heather Langenkamp, who's awesome, coming back, and then you got Miko Hughes, and so it's a pretty good cast. It did well. I mean, horror movies always try to do the same thing, right? Like, smaller budget, maximize profits. That's why they're still in theaters in mass today, because they try to keep the budgets down, maximize profits. It's always been a really good blueprint for the theater.
Yeah, it does what it's supposed to do, which is like get butts in seats, or at least get some butts in seats, and that's the play on it. And I get it, I totally get it. You and I have talked about this on the show. That's the point of the horror franchise and that run. But then we're going to start to step into a really interesting scenario here, because this is going to trigger a little bit of a debate and conversation, possibly amongst me and Tony, but definitely amongst our audience. A movie comes out on October 19th that, I mean, arguably, obviously, it launches a couple of careers. But the bigger part about this movie is that this is what I was saying a few episodes ago, when 1994 is a very important year for filmmaking, in the sense of like, yes, we have some big movies, but we also start to see indie. I don't want to say he's an auteur, because he's not really the traditional auteur, but we start to see these indie directors start getting up there, and they start getting bigger releases, and more people find out about them. And that would be Clerks, that is released. Is it? It's not a wide release there, right? Is this a wide release on this?
No, no, not
Okay.
especially certainly not right then.
Right. Right. I didn't think
Uh,
so.
no, but it's I mean, basically, uh, shot for like $27,000 on Kevin Smith's credit cards. I mean, it's a true indie thing, right? And yeah, I mean, this is. I don't know if that many people that watched it didn't like it back in the day. Most people who saw the movie, and it's not everybody, but yeah, I mean, it did fairly well. It was like this $27,000 movie that I think they put some post in, and ended up being like 230,000 or something like that after post, and then it made like almost $5 million, which is a lot of money for a movie that had gotten nothing. Had no budget, shoestring budget kind of thing, and Kevin Smith is Kevin Smith's always great. I mean, I, this is a funny cast. It's Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson and Jason Mewes, and you got Kevin Smith's in it. It's just, you get Silent Bob, you get Jay and Silent Bob. It's gonna start the whole VSQ universe, and it's just I really liked Kevin Smith. I don't know that I liked him as much as Alan Hardy did, who's
No,
a brilliant.
Alan. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This is his universe. Like, he loved this, but which is great. But that was who I would talk to about these movies a lot, because he was really into this, and and I love this movie, but yeah, he's massively into it.
So what's interesting to me is, and this is the like the Godfather statement before, I've always said that Kevin Smith has two great movies, and the first one is Clerks, and
Yeah.
the second one is Mallrats. Those are the two Kevin Smith movies that I actually enjoy. Right? I
Yes.
I Chasing Amy's okay. Some of his other stuff's fine. I'm not like Alan loves it. It's not the biggest thing in the world for me, and in fact, so much so that like I have multiple friends that have paid to go speak to Kevin Smith. Like they pay for like these whatever, like
Right.
a autograph and photo session and hang
Yeah.
out with Kevin.
Uh,
And while I appreciate everything that Kevin has done for comics and movies, like as a advocate, I just don't fall in love with his movies. It's something that I loved Clerks, and I don't know if are we going to talk about the soundtrack for this and the music in the later on, or can we talk, because this has a pretty good soundtrack for
yeah,
me anyway.
we can talk about it. Hadn't planned on it, but we can talk about it for sure, without
So
question.
there's some interesting stuff on here. There's a
There,
song on the soundtrack
it is a
called
really good.
Chewbacca. Yeah,
Right.
this is
Yeah.
a good soundtrack. There's a song on there called Chewbacca, and I believe it's by Supernova or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
is. It is super dope.
yeah, and I got to tell you, this specific song from that soundtrack, and we should talk about the other ones because it's a good indie. This is like good alternative indie soundtrack. This specific song was played so much by me and Jeff Worley. It's a little obnoxious. We were obsessed, and at the time, Jeff and I were in a band called 6 Foot Dracula, which was named after an inflatable 6 foot Dracula that was given to us, and we used to put it on stage. And this really, I was the singer. It was awful music. But Jeff and I, so we record our first quote album, right, which was just like a 8 track or 4 track machine. Yeah, it's on cassette. This is the times of cassette.
Somewhere. I'm sure it's somewhere.
It's somewhere. I have it somewhere. I do have it. I have a copy. I don't have a tape player to listen to it, but I have a copy. And on that soundtrack is a hidden track, because this was a big thing in the 90s, was the old hidden track where you had like on the CD. Yeah, track number 12 would just go to silence for a while, and then a song would come on. Well, we did the same thing, except it's me and Jeff singing the Star Wars theme song with a
Yeah.
guitar solo.
I remember
That's
this.
And there's a whole riff about Boba Fett and Chewbacca and this whole thing. So I bring it up to say that later on, Clerks ends up becoming one of those movies that changes the landscape of film. But at the time, when we probably all saw this on VHS or rental of some capacity, I don't think we were lucky enough to see it in theaters. Maybe you did.
No,
I don't remember seeing it.
wasn't down there. We
That's
were
what I
living
thought.
in Alabama. This never got down to us at the time. Yeah, so this was a VHS rental. Yeah.
And then it becomes like this lore. It's one of those cassettes that kind of gets passed around kind of thing, because it was so, again, it's a dialogue driven movie. It's shot in black and white. There's nothing dynamic about this movie. It's static shots.
As a matter of fact, I don't know if you remember, and we haven't gotten to this movie yet. We will, and we'll tell a story again because it'll be a couple of years later. but but when Chasing Amy comes out, uh, nobody's carrying the movie in Mobile. And if you remember, we had to drive to Pensacola to
That's right.
try to find this movie. If you remember this whole
That's
debacle,
right. No, I do. Yeah.
like not playing or something. It's this whole thing, right? But we did go over there to try to go see that movie, and this is before Fandango and
Yep.
easier way to
Yep.
find. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, we did that, and we didn't get it. We were, I mean, we indies were tough to get sometimes in Mobile. So I mean, the only theater that was really showing them was Village Six, and this wasn't a huge wide release. So it was wide for an indie, but it certainly wasn't super wide. Territories like Mobile, and those types of markets didn't really get it. But yeah, this is a great soundtrack, and I hadn't really put it but it should be in the notes. It was an oversight by me. And yeah, let's talk about it for a minute here. I mean, the song "Clerks" by Love Among Freaks, "Kill the Sex Player" by Girls Against Boys. There's a lot of dialogue pieces from the movie that,
Yep.
that
Yep.
are spliced in this as well. But there's some great songs. "Got Me Wrong" by Alice in Chains,
Really
which
great track.
which is great. "Making Me Sick" by Bash and Pop. The Chewbacca song, of course, by Supernova. "Panic and Cicero" by the Jesus Lizard. "Shooting Star" by Golden Smog. "Leaders and Followers" by Bad Religion. "Violent Mood Swings" by Stabbing Westward, who were huge at the time. "Berserker" by Love Among Freaks. "Big Problems" by Corrosion of Conformity. "Go Your Own Way," which was by Seaweed, and they were awesome at the time as well. And then "Can't Even Tell" by Soul Asylum. So you had that great mix of those types of alternative artists for a movie that was an indie. And yeah, it's a cool soundtrack for sure.
And it's fun because the dialogue bits are really great quotes from the movie. Like there's a track listing called "A Bunch of Muppets," and it is Jeff just going off on Return of the Jedi and how terrible it is. And his whole point is Empire is the best movie because all Jedi had was a bunch of Muppets talking about the Ewoks, and I vehemently disagree with him. But it's it's so culturally relevant because Star Wars has not been around in over a decade at this point. We're not to Phantom Menace in our lives yet, and the only Star Wars we have is like books and comics, and so people still talking about it. So there's fandom in this movie that's beautiful, and that's what I'm saying is like that soundtrack just adds to the lore of it. And we listened a good bit to it, but obviously for me and Jeff Worley, our number one track is this Chewbacca song because we just thought it was hilarious. And later on, I would end up having another band, and in that band, we put movie samples because we thought it was such a great idea. We have an album with movie samples from not Can't Hardly Wait, the Oneaters movie, what is that called? The Wonders. That Thing You Do. So we put out an album, and all of our songs are preempted by sound bites from one of my all-time favorite movies, That Thing You Do. So
That's a great. So a couple things about this movie, right? So we've already established I watch a lot of game shows. I still do. I did back when I was a child, and I still do. And I watch a game show now that's on Fox called The Floor.
yeah, Rob Lowe, right?
Rob Lowe, yeah. And Brian O'Halloran, who is the star of this film, was a contestant on The Floor last season. Not this season, but last season.
Amazing.
I mean, he's really good in this. Like he wins. If you own the most floor by the end of the episode, you get like $20,000. I think he ends up winning like $60,000 to $80,000 because he's got like the most floor for like 3 or 4 episodes or 5 episodes,
Holy
like
cow.
that, like 80 or 100,000 or somewhere in there. And the winner of the whole thing, if you're left standing, you win 250,000. He didn't win that, but he's got a great. If anyone who likes this movie likes Brian O'Halloran, go check out last season of The Floor because he's in it and he's great. And it's established that he's was in Clerks, and it's kind of cool. So I mean, check that season out if you're a big fan of the film because that's something you probably didn't know much about. And then the other thing is, I'm kind of tied to the Clerks franchise, sadly, in a bad way. Um, and that is that um, Chad Rosen was supposed to do Clerks 2, the second one, and it ended up being something happened, and he couldn't do it. And somebody ended up choosing somebody else to do the movie. Anyway, come back around 2021, and they're calling Chad and I to come do Clerks 3.
Oh man.
And we're supposed to do Clerks 3 with Kevin Smith. And my buddy Brian was kind of involved in that a little bit too, and another person named Amy that was kind of involved in that. And so um, Chad passes away. And when Chad passed away, the whole thing went away and they hired somebody else. So anyway, that because we came as a team, a package deal. So it is what it is, but would have loved to do Clerks 3. That would have been awesome.
Absolutely. Because again, it goes down in lore. I mean, it is again, I'm saying I don't like his later stuff, but I will always and forever be grateful to Kevin for Clerks. I also love Mallrats just for personal reasons. I remember who I saw it with, which is rare for me. I was on a date. Yeah. And I took someone who had no clue. We'll talk about it when we get there. But great foundation for indie filmmaking, and part of our heritage as independent filmmakers comes to a certain degree from guys like him. We've talked about Tarantino too, but this is one that was felt more attainable. Him and Rodriguez both made movies for no money, and it made it feel attainable. Somewhere out there's a short film that is a complete Clerks ripoff that Tony and I are in together.
We've put it up before, but back up now that we got this episode. We got the Clerks. It makes more sense to put it up now, so I'm going
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
great. That'll be good. It's fun.
we'll put that up now because I think it's going to make more sense that we're talking about Clerks
Yeah. No,
than
for sure.
you were talking about it originally. So
Absolutely. So when you see that, you get to see all these characters we named. Jeff Worley's in it. Tony's in it. Obviously, Tony's in it, but I'm in it. But also Alan Hardy, who's in it. So you get to see this whole thing and see our love at the time for Clerks. That takes us to a movie I'm going to put a question mark in my brain about. And the reason I say that is because there's two different movies called this title. So yes. October 21st, there's two movies. There's one that has Donald Sutherland. Yes. And there's one that comes out from a completely different franchise, and maybe it's not plural. Maybe it's Puppet Master and Puppet Masters.
No, this is the Donald Sutherland one,
which is one of the best science fiction movies I've ever seen.
You saw it in theaters. We didn't see it together though. You did see it in theaters. I saw it after you did because I had to go do something. I don't know what the heck I was doing, to be honest with you, but I had something to do. I couldn't go. And you guys went to go see it, came back, said it was pretty good. You said you liked it a lot. Somebody else said that it was, pretty good. And so I was like, okay, great. I had wanted to see it because I love Donald Sutherland. I really love Julie Warner. And Yaphet Kotto was in it. And so it didn't do particularly well. It had to recoup its money on secondary markets because it was like a $15 million movie. It did like 10. But yeah, it was kind of a cool movie, man. I enjoyed the Puppet Masters quite a bit.
So here's why I enjoy it, because when I saw it, it was a zombie kind of, there's no zombies in it. You'd have to see it. And I'm trying not to spoil anything in case, because it's such a small movie that people may not have seen it. It's got some turns and twists in it that are really good. And it almost has this Crichton type feel to it for how they solve certain problems is with science. And I think that's great. And I think it's a Heinlein. I'm not sure who wrote this. Maybe it's Philip K. Dick. I don't remember. It is Heinlein. Yeah. So you're getting a classic sci-fi author writing this book that they adapt. And the performances, what blew me away is I thought it was going to be a low budget feeling movie. And there's some definitely cost cutting shots in it. However, it's really good, especially if you like political thrillers, because what's interesting about the movie is not only does it have like this kind of alien threat side of things, there's a political side of it that kind of gets into play too. And then they have to solve this massive problem, and they do it very elegantly, again, with science. And I don't know, it's always stuck out as being As I said earlier, it's one of my all-time favorite science fiction movies. As weird as it sounds, I absolutely adore this movie. And I'm for me, this was one of those ones. Here we are in October. We've had Clerks already, which The Specialist was a big movie for us. We have Clerks, we have Puppet Masters, and both of them. Is there anything else you wanted to say about Puppet Masters?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that people don't understand about this film is that it's a screenplay adapted by, well, as one of the guys, David S. Goyer, who of course will do, the Blade movies. He'll write the Blade movies. He'll write the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, and I mean he's a heavyweight guy in this genre. So I mean he's a great, and Puppet Masters is good, and yeah, I mean it's one of those hidden gems to check out because I don't think a lot of people have seen this. To be honest with you.
Yeah, if you're a sci-fi fan, I'm telling you, it is one of those movies that is so rich and there's so much built into it and so much depth. It's good. It's a really good movie. I had forgotten that Goyer wrote it, and he's definitely, as Tony said, a heavy hitter in that side of it.
Yeah.
So as we get, so this is for me, this is like we're hitting some really big sci-fi movies. We're going to step into it on October 28th. There's two movies that come out. One of them is called Silent Fall.
Right.
I don't remember that movie whatsoever.
Nobody does.
Okay, so tell me about Silent Fall, and then we'll save the epically huge movie.
All right. So Silent Fall is one of these movies that I think is pretty good. It's Richard Dreyfuss, Linda Hamilton, John Lithgow, J.T. Walsh, Liv Tyler, very good cast, and it's a psychological thriller about this autistic boy who sees his parents be brutally murdered, and he doesn't speak. So now you've got a psychologist that's working. That's Richard Dreyfuss, and he's working with him to try to unlock memories and things like that, and get him to speak. Uh, I thought it was a really good movie. I'm not going to say it's Jack the Bear good by any stretch of the imagination because it's not, but because that might be the best hidden gem of all time. It's one of them, definitely for this show so far. But it's definitely worth seeing in an era where psychological thrillers were lauded for being in theaters. We don't see as much of them these days, but it didn't do particularly well. It was a $30 million movie that made about $4 million, so that wasn't good.
Yeah.
That's what we call a flop. But yeah, I mean, I love Richard Dreyfuss. I've always thought he was just amazing, and depending on the role you get with him, you get either the greatest sarcastic actor of all time, or you get just a really solid, great dramatic actor, and he's just a really solid, great dramatic actor here. So yeah, it's a good cast. It's a good movie. It's not funny. You're not gonna get you don't get funny Richard Dreyfuss here. You get a serious guy, but great cast, lots of fun. Uh, Check it out. Good psychological thriller, which was a good genre in the '90s.
I'm gonna have to try and find it because that cast alone is just like, especially in this time frame, those are all heavy hitters. Those are all people I enjoy performances from. So,
And I don't want to talk about what they do in the movie because it'll kind of ruin some stuff. But yeah, I mean, it is a good cast, and of course, J.T. Walsh has passed away in the '90s, so he was a great actor.
yeah, for sure. That takes us to, listen, if I could only, I don't know how to explain. And I'm curious to see because there's a lot, I have a couple of questions when we get to this, and I'll pace them out so Tony has plenty of time to answer because he might even answer them. That gets us to Stargate, which is hands down my favorite, next to Star Wars, my favorite science fiction movie and franchise in terms of like the TV show and all that. I adore it. I loved, and still love Stargate. And it was this movie that even when Tony and I lived together, we shared a house together.
Right.
At first, it was like three of us. Eventually, it's just me and Tony in this house, and we take this bedroom that's across the house, and we go and we put. This is back in the heyday where surround sound systems were a big deal. We had a surround sound system, and DVDs were brand new. And him and I both being cinephiles, we always I had a DVD player pretty quick, and he and I were always. But I'm telling you, I had that surround, and every time I wanted to check the quality or show off my surround sound system, I would play the scene from Stargate where they, you know, see,
Right.
it was it was like my flex, man. My flex was playing that scene from Stargate where they step through the Stargate. This movie is so entertaining and so good, and yet also so confusing for me later in life because French Stewart is in this movie as a serious actor. And we would not see him again until Third Rock from the Sun, where he is a complete buffoon and brilliant at it. Brilliant at it.
Right.
And there was also a kid in this movie that we used to joke was Johnny Green. It was a joke, but it was like because he ran out, and it was like just something that had happened in our lives, and it was just like a laugh about like, hey, there's Johnny, he's doing the Johnny thing. So anyway, so Stargate comes out, and you have this insane cast of Kurt Russell. I almost said David Spade. You know how my brain goes.
James Spader.
Why am I? James Spader, thank you. And I'm sure you can name the other. I said French Stewart. He's not really a main character in the show. He's kind of a set aside guy.
You're right.
Yeah. Does that shock you that I knew that?
Well, I know you. I know you love this movie, so I know you definitely know a lot about it and you've seen it quite a bit. So it doesn't shock me that you knew who was in this because I know you're tied to this film. It would shock me if you would mean for like Silent Fall or something, but not for this. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is a big movie for you, no doubt. I mean,
It's
I
huge.
love Stargate too, but I think but this was a huge movie for you, without question. I love Kurt
And
Russell.
I do too. And this is a Dean Devlin, Roland Emmerich joint, right? It's just stockpiled with goodness. So here's my question before you go into any numbers, because I genuinely curious now that I never knew when this movie came out, or I probably could have looked it up. I never have. Is it not the weirdest placement of all time to put this movie on October 28th, 3 days before Halloween? You release a science fiction movie there is literally nothing. There's a couple of creepy things, but there's nothing really scary. This is pure sci-fi.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it, you should. Is that a weird move to do this in like period?
So I think what was going on with this movie is like it's a decent sized movie. It's a $55 million film. Okay, I think they were worried about it in the summer market, which is where it originally was kind of thought to be, and so it was originally thought to be a summer film, and because of what was going on, I think they thought they might lose some audience there to some of the bigger summer movies, and so they pushed it back into the fall, where the slate was we've had some decent sized movies come out here that have played. We now know that Clerks is a really good movie that but it's not a it wouldn't scare a $55 million big budget studio film at the time. You know what I mean? So those types of movies weren't scaring. I mean, going up against like Puppet Masters, just kind of sharing a little bit of an audience, but this movie was huge. I mean, this movie made almost $200 million at the box office, so it was a big movie, and it did really well. And I mean, yeah, it's a big hit for all these guys involved: Kurt Russell and James Spader, and one of the actors in this movie. This is pretty much their last movie, and that's Jay Davidson, who plays Ra,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
powerful alien life form who's like playing a human playing a god. Yeah, and it's like Jay Davidson's known for this movie and The Crying Game, and he's got a very interesting role in The Crying Game. I'll leave it at that. But which is a good movie. But Jay Davidson is very very integral in that movie.
Oh yeah. Oh
So,
yes. Famous scene.
yeah, and it's a tremendous cast. I mean, like you said, you have French Stewart, and I'm actually tied to a lot of these actors. And I didn't, to be real honest with you, as I was going through the notes for this movie, I started realizing how many of these people I've actually worked with, and it's a lot. I worked with Alexis Cruz, who played Skara, and I worked with him, and I worked with Eric Avari, who played Kassif and he was also in the movie Mr. Deeds. Um, and I worked with Richard Kind, who played Dr. Gary Myers in this. And so, like, I've worked with a bunch of these guys, and they were all great. But they're all in Stargate as well, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, Stargate's a classic. I kind of had forgotten about you, um, you just doing that with the surround sound at the old
Yeah,
house.
it was tradition.
By the way, that house no
And
longer.
even when I moved, yeah, it's gone. You're right. It is gone. That house is gone. It was off Old Shell. It was our college house. I mean, look, I that tells you because you got to think. So I'm 16, Tony's 18. So I'm going to keep watching and using this movie by the time I enter college at this point, which you're talking about between 2 years, 4 years later, I'm still doing it. I think I took it all the way up until, something else came out that had a bigger surround sound vibe and I could utilize it. But I think this is one of those movies for me that, I mean, I saw it a couple times in theaters. I loved it so much. And I know that one time I saw it with my dad, and my dad has this kind of like Richard's dad. They all have like this moment. My dad's very quiet. He's a pretty quiet guy, but every once in a while he'll get some zingers out of him. Like, he was, yeah, Last Action Hero had a few. He'll give us some zingers. Well, in this particular one, I just remember my dad, and he says it still to this day. When he likes something, he goes, "Oh, that was fine. That was just the finest thing I'd ever seen. It was fine." And he can say that about if he's tasted, according to him, a very delicious hot dog, because he's obsessed with Dewdrop hot dogs, or the band that plays at the University of South Alabama football games. He has to comment on the band every game we go to. But this movie, to my dad, and I think that's why it's even more special to me, is he was like, "Oh, that movie was fine. That movie was just," and he loved it. He loved everything. So it makes it more, for me as a young guy, it was something, because in this time in my life when me and my dad got along, but we weren't super close. So it gave us something to bond over. And so it was a big deal. So again, I think that's probably personal on that level, but I think that's the point of this show, is like, this is how much movies mean to us in terms of that. So, and I know I saw it at Carmike. I know for a fact.
Definitely saw it at Carmike. Yep. Yeah, I did too. And I also checked out a Movies 10 screening because I was
Oh man,
not afraid to go to Movies 10, man. I love that place.
you weren't. You
I love
really
that,
weren't.
I love that place. I'm still in. I mean, it's 1994. I'm still at the Arnold School, and I'm still right across the street from it. And Movies 10 is like my hangout. I love it. I loved it so much there. I loved it. I wish it was still.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I think any of the challenges that it had in terms of like people being afraid of the crowds, Tony was from the north. And so Tony was like, "Oh, these crowds don't bother me. Like, we're all used." He was used to like crowds at things. Meanwhile, like the rednecks, those of us that are southern country folk are like, "Oh, there's 50 people here. I don't know if we can handle this."
Yeah.
We would we'd freak out a bit.
Hey, before we get
So
into
that takes
before we
yeah,
get
yeah, go
into
ahead.
stuff real quick, I was in Orlando. Well, no, this episode drops November 12th, but I was in Orlando for Halloween Horror Fest and stuff a couple weeks back,
Yes.
and so, we were walking through. We're walking. My brother and I are walking through Universal Studios, and they have on site. And I've been to Universal Studios, but I don't always pay attention to everything. And there, and sometimes it's been a minute since I've been there. They have a Cinemark movie theater at Universal Studios.
Whoa.
A Cinemark, not an AMC,
Whoa.
not something else. They have a Cinemark, not a Regal, not an AMC, not one of the other big boys, a Cinemark. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's the company that was front and center at the Dollar Theater in Mobile, Cinemark.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
I saw that up there and I was like, that's incredible. And I had to tell my brother the history of that, why that was important. But
Ah, so crazy. It is wild when you do come across one of those theater chains from the past that's still around. There's very few of them. A lot of these chains are like hardly in existence, but you get those like non AMC theaters or non Regal theaters, and you're like, "Oh, look at it. There it is." Like
it's amazing.
it's a piece of history. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is. That is good. That's cool. That's
That's
very
on the
cool.
Universal lots. That's on the Universal lots. So if anyone's in Orlando wants to go see one at an old school or type theater, Cinemark, boom, that's check that one out.
All right, so that'll lead us into our music. Again, fan favorite segment on the show. People love the movies talk, but they have also really enjoyed the music. So these are always fun because we inevitably I mean, Tony has to do the research on it, but I'm sure. Are there times when you're doing research that you forget when an album came out, or do you
Yeah,
remember most of when the album?
I
Yeah, okay.
no, I mean there's like dates and stuff like that. Like, dude, I have a great memory, but I mean I might remember it came out that year, or maybe around certain time frames if I bought the album, things of that nature. But
Yeah,
yeah, some of these I'm like, oh yeah, that was I may not have listened to this band when it first came out. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
yeah, like some of them I'm like, oh, that is when that came out. The first
yeah.
album,
Love it.
though, I remember this being right there because this was like something everybody around us was kind of listening to. So yeah, there's some big albums in October of 1994. Just so you know,
Oh, I
just a
can't wait.
bunch.
I
Yeah.
can't wait.
So the first one is "No Need to Argue" by the Cranberries.
Oh yeah, that was massive.
Huge. It was a seven-time platinum album in the United States. It's a huge album, big time. And then Danzig 4 by Danzig.
Hold on. I got a Cranberry story there,
Oh yeah,
and
go
I don't
ahead.
remember if it's this album. Yeah, so the first and last time I would ever consume Southern Comfort, which is a whiskey, was going to a Cranberry show with 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 Jeff Worley, Catherine. Did you go to that show with us? Because I was
Uh,
so drunk I can't remember.
I,
Okay,
I wasn't. I didn't like the Cranberries that much at this time.
that's right. That's right.
I don't. I
Barry Silbernagel. We go to this show, and I have taken what is the stupidest two things to mix together. Southern Comfort, for those who don't know, is like a bourbon byproduct. I wouldn't even call it bourbon. That's sweetened. And my happy butt gets a bottle of this and then pours it into a 2 liter Dr. Pepper. And I don't remember the rest of the night. Like I've seen them live, but I couldn't tell you how good they were because I drank so. And that, of course, all that sugar led to the exit of the Southern Comfort from my body and one of the worst hangovers I've ever had. That is it. I have never, if I even smell it to this day, here it is, like 30 years later, and I still can't even handle the idea of Southern Comfort. So the Cranberries for me have forever been attached to Southern Comfort and Jeff Worley learning all these Cranberry songs to try and impress girls. That is also true. He learned them on guitar.
no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that story. I know that one for sure. Yeah, man. We both have had bad moments on Southern Comfort. I know that. The other Southern Comfort story. I'll go ahead and tell it here because there's no reason not to. Since you just brought that up, real quick. We're in the backyard of the mobile. We're in the backyard of my parents' house where we partied in the gazebo and the pool area throughout this entire time frame, pretty much. And it's ramping up in 1984, right? And one of the nights is Alan Hardy and myself, Jonathan Green, and we go into my parents' liquor cabinet down below,
No.
and there's like still like a half a bottle or so of Southern Comfort in there. And so we're doing shots of Southern Comfort, and we get to like, I don't know, bro, like a quarter of the bottle left or something, maybe a little less. A little less. He dares me to turn that bottle up and drink the rest of it, and I
Oh,
did. I did it. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I did it. And yeah, man, that's it. You're right. Don't remember the rest of that. Yep. Next day I was playing Game Boy on my shoe, playing Game Boy on my shoe because my parents were like, "Hey, you got to go take out the trash," and I was like, "Oh yeah." So I'm in my closet trying to put my shoes on, and I can't figure it all out. Right? It's not happening, and so I pick up the shoe, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm playing Game Boy," and they're like, "With your shoe?" And I go, "Yeah, playing Game Boy." Dude, it was bad. Bad moment. Not great.
yeah. Southern Comfort. There's no comfort in that Southern Comfort, my sir. Lord.
On to the next one. Danzig 4. Danzig. It's not Mother or any of those classics, but
Yep.
you know, still,
Yep.
it was out there. And Lucas Centric by the artist Lucas. Lucas with the lid off. That's a great song.
Yep.
Yeah,
That is a great song.
that is a great song. I had to throw that one in there because I was like, the album's not necessarily iconic, but that song is pretty darn good.
Yeah, that song's it's listen when it shows up from time to time in like the serious '90s thing, and it's
Yeah,
a great little track still.
it is. Nativity in Black, a tribute to Black Sabbath, various artists.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
we had that. I had it.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
remember it.
yeah. Pisces Iscariot by the Smashing Pumpkins, which was, a B-sides compilation of like all these different past Smashing Pumpkins hits and stuff like that. And I remember us in a lot of unreleased material, and I remember us going gaga over this. It's not by it's a good album, but I remember us all being like Pisces, yeah, because Smashing Pumpkins, 1994. Come on.
What's great on that though is that like the one of the girls that works for me, her daughter is 18. Now I'm not trying to age us or anything or make it. So
Well,
Smashing Pumpkins is classic rock to her, right?
listen, it's not
But
that big
she's
a deal.
obsessed,
Just turned.
right?
I just turned low 30s. So
Low 30s is great.
yeah,
There it is. But it's to her, it's like a big deal. And so I've told her these stories about like us being so excited for Pisces Iscariot. She was like, I've never heard of that record. I was like, oh, you gotta go listen to it. I was like, and we had a midnight release for Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, which is her favorite album. And it's like I hated that album. It wasn't alternative enough for me at the time or whatever. This was a big deal, the Smashing Pumpkins, and it goes back again. This is another Alan Hardy band. He was obsessed too. So like we were all our little core group of friends. This was hitting hard.
yeah. No, absolutely. It was a big deal because it was like unreleased material and stuff like that. There wasn't a lot of places to get stuff like that back then. It's like if they didn't release it or you didn't have a bootleg or something of that nature, which is those were huge back then, bootlegs, right? But
Yeah,
yeah, if you didn't have that stuff back then, man, it's you didn't get it. You weren't able to just go to YouTube and find some hidden gem that they played, in Chicago at a club, because somebody's got a phone camera and took the entire video. That's great. Don't get me wrong; it's helped me watch a lot of cool stuff. And I do it myself all the time. But still, I mean, it's kind of neat to be able to go out and purchase something like that as well. The next album's pretty big. Question the Answers by the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. That's a good album.
massive. It's a
That's a good
real good
album.
album.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is when the Boston start infiltrating our group a little bit more, and then eventually there'll be a period in which ska has blown up so big that Tony's always been, in fairness to Tony, he's always been very good about being well rounded. I think you guys know that from the show, but a few of us would fall into the trend trap, and at some point there's a massive contingent of us that become ska obsessed, and Mighty Mighty Boston's is to blame for that. Great
Yeah.
record though, still good.
You and our boy who definitely listens to the show. I just talked to him today, actually, Stephen Brown. Stephen Brown's gonna become massive Scott man, and my Boston's are gonna be like his like part of his lexicon. But this is a good album. It's kind of before Mighty Mighty Boston's get big, so this is like Hell of a Hat stuff like that. So it's a good record. Dogman Star by the band Suede, and I really only mention it because they're from So I Married an Axe Murderer. So the Cult releases the album The Cult, and
Man,
Singing with the Big Bands by Barry Manilow. I know you're a big fan. So
I like
here,
Barry Manilow now. I probably didn't back then.
yeah. Well, I don't think you liked Barry Manilow back then. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure of that. Now here's a record that we still very much like. I would even say like. I
Oh
would say
boy,
we we both very much love this record to the day to right now. We very much loved the record when it came out. We very much love it now. As a matter of fact, we just saw them last year and they played this entire record. And that is Korn releasing their debut album, Korn. It's one of the best albums ever made. It's one of the best albums ever created from start to finish. It's
I
without
would
question one of the best albums ever made.
I would go on record with you in saying that it's absolutely one of the greatest debuts as well. Like this, you're coming out of the gate with this album that literally changes music. It changes that record changes metal forever. It changes the whole dynamic. And if you talk about a band being viral amongst our circle of friends, it is this record, it is this album, and it's hearing for the very first time that opening riff in that song, Are You Ready? And hearing that, Are You Ready? And then our whole car would explode every single time. It was like a mosh pit in whatever vehicle we were driving because it would hype us up. It's a great, Blind. That's the name of that song.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just such. I mean, listen, that song opens the album. So everything you just talked about is your first introduction to this band. It's an amazing way to start out your debut album. And I know we have some big Korn fans that listen to this show. And yeah, this is, I mean, listen, you got Blind, you got Ball Tongue, you got Need To, you got Clown, Divine, Faggot, Shooting Some Ladders. I mean, Daddy. It's the whole album is just loaded. It listen, it's still their best album to me. And they had some good albums out after this. Don't get me wrong; they've got several albums I like after this, and a lot of big singles after this too that I really really love. But this is still when I see this band live, they better be playing this album, and they always do. They always play this album. But last year when we saw them at Louder Than Life, they played it in full, and that was amazing.
Yep. It's an incredibly good record.
Uh, Here's another one that we like. The album Orange by the John Spencer Blues Explosion.
Come on now. Now listen, for those of you that don't know, and I could tell stories for days on this. My friend Jackie, I was trying to impress her. I used to make these mixtapes. She was a big John Spencer fan, but there's a song on here that becomes so popular later. I'm significantly later, and it's the song Bell Bottoms, and it shows up in Baby Driver.
Yeah, yeah.
And people lose their minds over that song having never heard it before. And it's like, wait a second, we were jamming on this album. Orange
Yeah.
is like, and John Spencer has albums before this, but this is the one that for us brought him to the front and circle for us, and eventually launches Fat Possum Records or whatever it's called. And he puts out all this blues, and you get R.L. Burnside. This record is the one that pushes it. And it is, my God, I still listen to that album to this day. It's so far ahead of its time. It's an incredibly good record.
That's amazing. I mean, it's tremendous, and it comes out. I mean, right at the same time as Korn. You gotta love that. I mean, they come out the same day. And by the way, the next album is Clerks. Is the Clerks soundtrack. So on the same day, you got the Clerks soundtrack, you got Korn, and you got John Spencer Blues Explosion. That is what we call.
But I can tell you guys, yeah, that is a hat trick. And I can tell you, though, because we were poor,
We didn't own any
that
of
we sure didn't. But I bet Korn was the first one we bought. I bet Korn was the first album we bought. I remember getting John Spencer eventually because it had like a silver. The disc was an orange, and it was a soft jacket. It wasn't a hard plastic jacket. It was like the eco jackets, and it was silver. But I know for a fact that we all had that Korn album. We all had that first Korn album. We all had it.
Because John Spencer was one of those things. You didn't buy this first right away because one of the things is you're not really into John Spencer right then. He comes a little bit later, kind of when he's kind of around the same time you're getting into ska.
Yeah,
It's
it's accurate.
That same time frame. So, but yeah, I mean, amazing record. Return of the Space Cowboy by Jamiroquai, which is going to be their follow up to their big album. But Jamiroquai was always awesome. They just had such a great bluesy sound to them. Very sleek, bluesy. I just always like Jamiroquai is one of those bands that I can just turn on and like I can just kind of zone out if I need to, because they're soft and they're melodic and they just have a really soft way to just kind of caress my brain for the time frame. So I love listening to this
No, I get
miracle.
it. I totally get it.
Blowout Comb by Diggable Planets, which is their follow up album to Diggable. This is their their big hit. You think, and you're still getting them confused with Digital Underground to this day, probably. Big,
Probably so. Yes.
big.
I like. Listen, Diggable Planets had the jazz stuff. Digital Underground had the Humpty Dance.
Well, yeah, but you didn't know any of it, and you knew that it all existed, but you didn't know who was doing what. And listen, listen. Drew mixes up a lot of stuff to this day, and he does it on this show all the time. But he was doing this crap in 1994 too. Don't get it twisted. I mean, he was doing it back then as well. He's always been like this. I mean, you this is
I'm consistent. I'm
you
consistent.
you're the guy who took my BMG form and said, "Oh, Digital Underground, I'm going to mark it." And you marked it off. You got me the worst Digital Underground album of all time. Okay, it had none of their hits on it. None of their hits. None of their classic stuff. And and because you thought it was Diggable Planets,
Yeah.
thought it was
Yeah.
Diggable Planets debut album.
So that's the equivalent of taking someone's Tinder and swiping right when you're like, what are you doing, dude? You can't set me up with
And for
with
whatever
Rosie
reason,
O'Donnell and
I never changed it. I ended up with that album. I still have it to this day.
oh, it's amazing.
It's what it is. Bon Jovi releases a compilation called Crossroad, of course, and then Scarface releases The Diary. Uh, and then we got Murder Was the Case comes out in this time frame as well on the 18th, which is a pretty good album. Scratch the Surface by Sick of It All. It's a pretty darn good album.
Oh yeah.
And check out this one, Stoner Witch by the Melvins.
See, that's like classic. Yeah, that's Alex Rivera, like all in.
Alex Rivera, that's his thing. That's a good record though, regardless of who's listening to it. To be honest with you, if you're into grunge, that's your deal. See what else we got here. We had, I think I have some. I thought I had some more. Have some more mixed up. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Everybody's heard this song. I don't care who you are. Everybody's heard this song. They may not know who sings it. They may not know what album it came from. They may not know it's from the 90s even, but they know this song. They've heard it. So an album comes out called Home, which you probably don't even know what I'm going to talk about, by a band called Deep Blue Something,
Oh
and
yeah.
they released a song called Breakfast at Tiffany's off this album.
Yep.
There isn't
Yep.
anybody who hasn't heard that song. As a matter of fact, and I'll tell the story right now, real quick. I know we're kind of short on time, but anyway, um, in 1995, I'll start working at Stakeout, and there's a guy. In my tenure at Stakeout, we always had the radio in the back playing while we were like scrubbing potatoes and stuff as drivers. And so we have this, and there's going to eventually be a guy who's back there, and him and I become pretty good friends. He's goofy and funny. He's always got a smile on his face. His name's TJ, and so TJ and I are back there scrubbing potatoes, and I'm singing the song. I'm singing this song, "Breakfast at Tiffany's" by Deep Blue Something, and he's like, "Man," he goes, "You know a lot of songs, man, and you sing a lot of songs back here, and it's always the crappiest song that comes on the radio." He goes, "Is there any reason you do that?" And
What a
I
quote.
said, well, they play a lot of crappy songs. I just happen to know them all. And so since I'm back here scrubbing potatoes, I might as well sing along. And that was pretty much the way that went. Um,
What a great quote, dude.
no, it was great, man. TJ was a card man. He was awesome. He was a good dude, and he's just a cool cat. Um, we get let's see what else we got here. Bedtime Stories by Madonna. We get Nervous Breakdown
Oh
by
yeah.
Fu Schnickens
Oh yeah.
releases browser. Uh, Voodoo You by Lords of Acid plays pretty big in our circle.
That blew up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pokenacha by MXPX, which is one of their first albums.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
I am going to see, and this is a good segue because I'm going to see MXPX if this show is going to air on November 12th, well, in 2 days from now, on November 14th, I'm going to see MXPX play with the Ataris here in St. Louis. I'm really looking forward to it.
What a great show.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, great
And
show.
I haven't seen MXPX since you and I saw MXPX together, which was at Point Fest in 2000 with our buddy Horst, who went to that one.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, Special collector's edition of some B sides for Blur that comes out here, and
Interesting.
get a compilation of Sade songs as well. You get a box set of ABBA, and that pretty much sums up October, my friend.
You know what's funny is I still call I will say, oh, let's go get in the Sade instead of Shade because I always pay tribute back to her and that record. But I also call my kids the Foo Schnickens. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
Like when I'm talking to the girls, I'm like, come here, Foo Schnickens. Like that's what I call them. And it's just back to that's what I'm saying is so fascinating when we go through this. I have not thought about why I called him that until you're like, that album comes out. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's just one of those weird things of like, that's the joy of what we hope you guys and gals and folks listen to when you're listening to this. I hope you take away from it. Whether you've had that memory, you don't, or maybe it's a new memory you have, but it's just the idea of like, there's some beauty in looking back, knowing that in our present lives, the path that we walked to get here means something. And looking back on it is great to say like, hey, that journey took us somewhere, whether it was Southern Comfort fueled or not. It got us to a point in our lives that matters. And it's just a reminder to say, I think overall, like as we've had a couple of these tribute shows, look, every moment is special. If you're lucky enough to have, like me, that has a friend like Tony that remembers a lot of these moments and has helped me remember these moments, I get to live joy on the daily basis every time we record this. But you can have the same effect at home with your friends or someone maybe you haven't talked to. Just consider the idea that these little moments are little bits of joy. They're little Hershey kisses of joy that you unwrap. You dig in there and you unwrap it and you're like, oh my God, Foo Schnickens, I forgot about it. Or, you know, Korn's first album, how important that was. Or Stargate or Puppet Man, whatever it is. So just enjoy it. And thank you guys for listening to the show. Tony, is there anything else you want to say before we close this bad boy out? Because there's no outro music now. So you just got to carry it yourself. A whistle or something?
Let it be, bro. Peace. We'll talk about the MXPX show when we come back.